This podcast is part of the No Phony Podcast Network, the home of independent awesomeness.
Welcome back to another episode of On the Road with Jim and Casey. Joining me, as always, James Morganti.
That's right.
Joining us today is screenwriter, social media coordinator, script supervisor, and actress Charli Marie. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you guys?
Very good. So, where are you calling in from today?
I'm actually in San Diego.
Oh, San Diego. How's the weather there? Nice?
It's always nice.
Yeah?
Yeah, we're blessed with that. So
Nice. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about your career?
well, first of all, can you hear that? Because I can move.
Yeah, it sounds
a little
like
bit.
someone's knocking on your door forcibly, trying to enter in your home.
Okay, I'm gonna move because I thought it wouldn't be loud. It's outside, but let me just find somewhere else to go. Let me see. Okay, maybe this is a little better. Can you guys see me? And
Yeah,
everything?
yeah.
Okay, cool. I just have to move the. Let me fix the lighting. I'm sorry. 1 second.
It's all good.
All right, I'll just talk for a while. So while you're finding these things, you're from San Diego, right? And you
Yeah, originally, but I've moved all over the country. So, I mean, I've literally lived like in New York, in Florida, in Texas, Washington, all over.
where in New York and where in Texas? You know what? And where in Florida? Actually, those I've lived. Well, I was living in a car in Florida.
Oh, wow.
For a while. It was actually it was a wonderful car. 2000 Mercury Sable. Props to Sables, man. Comfy to sleep in, reliable. I mean, and I'd be driving around all these homeless guys with nicer cars than me. I'm like, look at you, you son of a gun, with all these like Under Armour bags too.
Oh my gosh.
I was in Palatka and I was in Tampa Orlando mainly, but then Palatka for a while.
Nice. I was in Lakeland, so I was right between Orlando and Tampa.
Oh, okay. Where in Texas?
Austin.
Oh,
And then a little town right outside of Austin too. So
Where was that?
Dripping Springs.
Oh wow, Dripping Springs must
Yep.
be nice. Have all that land, do whatever you want, huh?
So
Probably
much
what?
like- yeah.
You do a lot of. Okay, you do. I believe it's called roping.
Yep. I've never tried it, but yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know if men rope more than women. I didn't look at the stats.
I'm honestly not sure. But
You don't have the stats on that, Jim?
No, that's right. I don't know. I mean, I've only ever seen men do it, so I don't know how many women.
I don't know.
I don't know top female ropers.
I'd be curious to find out.
So, Charli, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got involved with acting?
Well, I've always wanted to be an actress since I remember. I mean, I was a little kid and I wanted to be an actress. I was just too shy to tell anybody because, you know, like the typical career, like a doctor, a lawyer, that sort of thing, a teacher is what I should go for, right? So for the longest time, I was like, I'm just going to go for one of these. And so I started, you know, going into teaching school and nursing school. And I got really depressed a couple years ago. And a friend of mine was like, if you could do anything in the world, what would you do? And I was like, well, I've always wanted to be an actor, but it's impossible. So never mind. Like, I'll be fine. And he's like, you should really go for that. And so I started looking into auditions, and I was taking classes as a kid too, but you know, they were just classes. So I started like really taking classes and really focusing and just, you know, really getting into it. And then finally last year, you know, I became professional and I started actually like working on set and acting. And that's when I finally, you know, grew the cojones to tell my parents.
And so while you were acting, what were you doing? Like, I mean, were you working? Were you working, as they say, I believe it's called a working actor?
Oh yeah, I mean, I was still working in the hospital at the time when I got my first gig. I was working in the hospital. I was crazy. I worked 4 days a week, and I was going to school, and then I would act on the weekends. And it worked out because, you know, in Florida, a lot of the people are doing similar things, and they're working and acting on the weekends. And so it worked out for a while. And then I was like, you know, if this is what I want to go for, I need to just be all in and just go for it.
Yeah.
And so then I started, you know, just, you know, doing things that were like gigs basically. And so I would get a gig and make money off of it. And then I would use that to survive. And then I built up my savings a little bit. And then I started writing a lot, like screenwriting. And so that helped build up the savings too. So then I was like, you know what? I can just make acting my number one thing and just go 100% for that. And so that's what I've been doing since. So
That sounds wonderful. And I wanted to ask you, I've heard this a lot, and I've never asked anybody, so it just dawned on me. Why is it that female, I always thought actor meant guy and actress women.
Yeah, well, that's accurate. Yeah.
But I see all my friends that are women, and they have on their Instagram actor.
Yep.
I don't, have we gone mad?
I mean, okay, it's kind of like, what's another one? It's like, you know, it's like being a flight attendant versus a stewardess. You know, it's that kind of thing. It's like waiter, waitress. Some girls say, you know, I'm a waiter, although generally waitress is the girl, but it's like kind of interchangeable. Like you could be an actress or an actor. However, if you're a guy and you say actress, you're probably more, I don't know. It's, I guess, a double standard. I guess it's not fair.
I just thought about it. Right. I got you.
Yeah.
And so what made, like, because I'm sure you've watched every single one of our episodes probably multiple times. I'm always for, you know, just no matter people, whether we're raised not to think that we're good enough, you know, oh, I can never go on camera. I'm too stupid looking. I always think I'm really dumb looking in pictures.
No.
It's so easy for me to look like a complete idiot. You know, my face, it's like I'm like that.
No.
But like, that's how we were brought up. And like, oh, like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not really, it's hard to pursue what you think you are. So what made that switch of how I like to put it is, like your friend said, what do you want to do over anything? My way of putting it is, what would you do, Charli Marie, whether you are poor living in a car in Palatka, Florida, or wherever it is, which I wasn't in the car the whole time. I was only in it for like a week, and then I stayed at a friend's house. But
no. I know what you mean.
But what would you do whether you're homeless, completely broke, nothing, zero zilch, starving to death, or king, you have all the money in the world, so you have nothing, you have everything? What would you still do? So my thing was always
be an actress. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's it's a good that's a good. What was that deciding factor though to make you say, hey, you know what, I want to do this? What made you get into that?
I think, I mean, since I'd always wanted to do it, see, I'm very emotional. And like, as a kid, I mean, a lot of times people would be like, oh, you're too sensitive, stop crying, you're fine. And like, so, you know, I was always kind of taught to like push the emotions down. Well, then I realized this is actually like a good trait. Like I can empathize with people and make them feel better and inspire them. And like, there were several people that came to me and said that I completely changed their lives or inspired them in some way. And I was like, you know what? How can I pick a career that uses this gift to actually benefit the rest of the world? And I was like, okay, well, you know, like some people, they're just like automatically really good at something and it just naturally is them. Well, you know, the emotional thing, the acting basically is just naturally me. And I was like, okay, so how can I use that as a career, as something to really do for the rest of my life? And acting is it. You know, I can inspire people by being authentically in that character, and then they empathize with them and something, you know, they see something inspiring in it, or you know, it's a really evil character and they can be like, oh, she's actually doing that. Like if you've seen the Joker, it's like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe he did that. But it's at the same time, it's like it lets out anger in some people possibly, you know, things like that where it's the ripple effect in a very small way. It can actually benefit the whole world.
I agree with the I mean, like, emotions, especially when you know how to use them to your benefit. You know what I mean? They can be amazing. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
like a doctor. Okay, so are you a nurse?
I was for a while, yeah. I was working at the hospital.
So it's like when you're a doctor, let's say you have 5 patients in 5 different rooms, and one's dying, one's healing, one's doing amazing. He's about to go see his family. The other just got in. He doesn't know what's happening. So that doctor is looking at all those rooms.
Mm-hmm.
He can't be like, so the one room he goes in, the guy's dying, right? The doctor can't go in there. Hey guys, yo! I mean, did you see who won the Super Bowl? Wow, things are going. No, he's got to be like this. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You drank too much fluoride in the water, or you know, whatever happened. I'm so sorry. I'm sad. You know, he has to be sad for them. But then the next room he's like, yeah, you know, I knew sunlight would help defeat coronavirus. And he's like, yeah, you had vitamin C and zinc. Yeah, you're doing awesome, man. Great job.
Mm-hmm.
And then you know what I mean? Like, he has to control his emotions, each one, kind of like you, like when you're in control of it. And because you're emotional, as am I, because I'm Gemini. Once you learn all the emotions, then, you know, I think it brings like that joy to a little bit of joy to life as well.
It brings heart to everything, like passion, heart. It just flows. All of it just flows through, and I don't know. I think you're right.
So, have you had to work while all this stuff was going on, or were you laid off, or were you?
A lot of the projects, they were put on hold. Like the director would call me and be like, "Hey, we don't know when exactly we'll be back, but we'll be back. We love you. See you later." And I'm like, "Okay."
Oh, I mean in nursing, or you're.
Oh, I stopped doing that like a year ago, or maybe about a year ago. I stopped doing that. That was actually while I was living in Florida. I was nursing for a while, and then I actually moved back to California. When was it? It was like June. I have a calendar over there I'm looking at. It was last June. I started driving across, and then, you know, I moved back over. But yeah, I haven't been nursing since then. I've been actually doing a lot of screenwriting lately during this whole coronavirus thing. I've just been writing nonstop, and I'm going to school, so those have been my main focus lately.
What type of stuff have you been writing?
Right now, it's a sci-fi that I'm writing for somebody else, so I can't really talk about it because it's an NDA thing. But the last thing I wrote for myself was I wrote it last year, and I've just been kind of like sprucing it up and editing it lately so I can submit it to film festivals and competitions and things. But it was actually about an epidemic that got solved and resolved through music. And I mean, I wrote it last year. I had no idea this was going to happen. And now I'm like, okay, if I submit it, are people going to think that I'm like copying the trend? Because I mean, I did write it last year, but they might think I'm
Hurry! Hurry and do it.
Hurry up. Yeah.
And it's interesting, somehow music could solve it, because sound is healing. Maybe these doctors, we need to get, Casey, make a note, we need to get doctors listening to this, because maybe you've been anointed by something with sound can cure things, instead of injecting in
the movie.
and of course vaccines that we're going to have to take eventually to hook us up to 5G.
Yeah, so everything's energy, so I mean, why not?
right. Yeah, so what was your last movie role part that
Well, the last one I was in was it was actually this indie film, Bonnie Boys, and I was a gangster's wife, and so, you know, I'm wearing this like red leather coat, and I've got like, you know, half my hair, it looks like it's shaved, it's just like pinned back, and, you know, it's like an undercut sort of thing, and I'm like wearing way too much makeup and a choker, and like I'm super like badass, and but that was really fun because it doesn't look like, when you think of Charli Marie and then you look at that character and you're like, whoa, she's totally different. So that was fun.
What is Charli Marie's dream role of a movie? Is it someone really emotional, crying all the time, or being
No.
loving? And
Honestly, Pocahontas, or like a live action Pocahontas, because she inspires the entire culture of that time to actually be there for each other and love each other, and it's like that's huge. To be an inspirational figure in a movie, that'd be great. And then she's also like a free spirit, and she like she runs through the woods and she jumps off the thing into the water, and I don't know, she would be perfect for me.
my mom never let me watch Pocahontas as a child because her skirt was too high, and she didn't want me getting any thoughts. So
No.
and then I never watched it.
You gotta see it. It's good. It's really good. It's not historically accurate, I don't think, but it's good.
Your mom wouldn't let you watch a cartoon
Yeah,
because her skirt was too short?
That's horrible.
Where do you think what's that Japanese porn called?
Like hentai
It's like,
or something?
yes, hentai. Yes, thank you. It's like that, but my mom saw it coming before, and then
smart.
stopped it.
I see.
Hey, go ahead for a second. I gotta turn this ringer off.
All right. So Charli, tell us exactly what a social media coordinator. What is that?
Oh man. So basically, I managed a lot of things at once. I was, I would go on and do like little funny blurbs and videos and put them on there so that, to gain more followers. And then I would also manage like on the back end, like, okay, 500 people looked at this post, but only 10 looked at this post. So what exactly can I do to continue, the 500 stream? And then at the same time, when somebody messages the page, I answer their questions and direct them to the right person. And then I was also like, I would wear, the apparel of the company and do videos on other pages, like on my personal page, because I have a lot of followers there. So then they would get, moved over to the page and they would follow the page as well. So it was kind of just a lot of like, almost like a brand ambassador combined with coordinating all the social media stuff. So I put in a lot of different, I put in a lot of work into it, actually. There's a lot of like focusing on how many engagements and how many things were reached and that sort of thing.
Is that still something that you do?
Yeah, I mean, I still do it like personally. I stopped working for that specific company though, actually a few weeks ago. So.
Yeah, you got 4,000 followers on Instagram. Pretty good.
Thanks.
What I assume you get a lot of DMs from bros being
yeah.
Hey, who's the hottest who's your hottest follower that you have that you don't follow back but he messages you and you're just like he's hot but I'm not gonna follow him?
Wait, do you want to name him? What do you mean?
No, like, do you know it? Do you know who it is?
Yeah,
I've always wanted to know this. Like, as a bro, you're like, oh, I'm good looking. Like, I could, get that. I always I always like asking girls, who's your hottest follower that you just won't follow back or respond to his DMs? And usually they're like, oh, actually, there's this one guy. He's really nice and he's really good looking, but I don't know. I'm just kind of. And like they all have their go-to
There's
guy.
always a thing. I don't know. It's true. It's because you think about it logically, and you're like, okay, he's really hot. He comes across kind of sweet in the DMs, but it's like, but logically, I don't want to like invest time into really talking to him and following him and all that because I know logically we would never be a thing. So like, I should invest my time into other things. You
don't believe in meeting people on Instagram?
No, I've met people on Instagram and then I meet them in person and they're great. No, I've done that before. I have good friends that I've met through Facebook and Instagram. but it's like something about the person. It makes you think about it and you're like, well, I know he would never want kids and I have kids. Or you're like, well, he's really hot and he's really great, but he seems to be a little bit too much into sex and I'm not trying to make that my number one priority in a relationship. Like that sort of thing. Like where you realize that something doesn't align with you and then you're like, yeah, he's hot and he's great, but I'm not going to follow him back.
He's probably a guy in his 30s, and he statistically knows that women in their 30s, it's their highest sex point where they're like, they want it. And that's like a biological thing. So yeah. Some guys, they're like, okay, she's probably 28, 35 area. Okay, she wants, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, but then when they're younger, yeah, you're like, ooh, I have a boat party to go to. I have, you gotta like, I guess some people have to know how to play that right. I'm reading your Instagram here. ADHD awareness and autism awareness.
Yeah. One of my kids has autism, and I actually, when I was going into school for the teaching thing, I went pretty far into learning about autism, and then I was having trouble like focusing on things, and I went to the doctors, and they ended up realizing I have ADHD, and so it's funny because it's like that's been, in a lot of ways, it's affected our lives in different ways. The autism with my child, we did a lot of training when he was younger, and a lot of like teachers would come to the house and play with him. And, he goes to regular school and, he does all the regular, I mean, not right now because of COVID, but in general, he's normal, as you would say, right. Very high functioning, but it's because when he was younger, we worked a lot on like teaching and getting that stuff really, to where he really could try to understand how to function more highly. And then with the ADHD thing, it was kind of the same thing where it's like, I started noticing it. And then I went to the doctors and I was like, I don't know why I'm having trouble with these things. And, I pointed it all out and I laid out all my problems basically. And they were like, I think you have ADHD. And I was like, really? How does that relate to time? Like, why am I struggling with time? And then one of the people I was talking to, they sent me that link that I posted on my website. And it's basically a video talking about how time actually, people with ADHD sometimes will have trouble with like getting to places on time because I don't know how to describe it very well. The video is great at describing it, but I'm not as good. But it's like, basically you're so focused on what you're doing because basically it's a constant living in the moment sort of thing. Somebody with ADHD, it's like you're always right there and your mind wanders and stuff, but you're still always right where you are. And if you're trying to do something that you're really interested in, you get really focused on it, and then you might forget, oh my gosh, at 4:00 I have blah 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 to do, and then you end up kind of running late to that because you're focused on this. So it's like your brain kind of does what it wants, I guess. Anyway, so I started advocating for that.
Yeah, I'm always told I've ADHD by many people, my mother, friends. Casey was yelling at me.
Yeah, I think you might have just been diagnosed with it, buddy. I said, I think you might have just been diagnosed with it right now.
Well, okay, so you do know, not that I'm saying it's better to be ADHD'd all over the place, or as I like to say, attention dialed into a higher dimension. People that have it, Mozart, Einstein, when you love something, they're actually saying like some of the highest IQ people had very bad ADHD because, and like the most that did breakthroughs in so many things because they're crazy about one thing or the other or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to say that there's a secret plan to dumb us all down and make us just be all normal so they can control and enslave us. That's from another podcast that we're doing. But, I always, you got to train the mind for sure. And I'm guilty whenever I say I'm on the way. I'm still in the bathroom, struggling on the toilet. You know what I mean? All right. Well, I guess we're going to, before we wrap, you're like a positive person. I dig it. Nothing holds you back. what's like your piece of advice that you give to the listeners, something they can put in their pocket to keep and then pull out one day when it's needed, like $100 bill saved up that they could use?
I think the biggest piece of advice I would give is to just do it. Like, I know that's Nike slogan, but I mean, like, literally, like, if you have an idea and you're nervous about it, you think you're not good enough, any sort of doubt or any sort of thing, just do it. Just try it. Just do it. Go for it. And then if you fail forward. So you failed. Do something else. Go forward from it. And just, just do it anytime that you want to try something and don't wait, basically. So.
Right. I got that's a hey. Who wrote Jordan? He failed all the time? Greatest player of all time. So.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Charli, for doing this, and tell everyone where they can find you and some of your works, some of your work online that people can find.
Yeah, www.charlimarie.com, but it's CHARLI-MARIE. So.
All right. Thank you
Thanks,
very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Have a
Thank
good
you so
one.
much.
Keep crushing it.
You too. Thank you.